Geography is a half science, quasi science, or half science or quasi science. The first part of geography will be the physical part, and second will be the human and economic part. So in the first part, we use the elementary physics, the elementary biochemistry, the elementary soil plant research works, and the discoveries, the laws, geology in some part, meteorology in some parts. So physical part of geography will be science, or really in the real sense scientific. So first part is scientific, second part is human and economic geography, so that part will be like an arts. Now even though we deal with the arts part, like the human geography, economic geography, political geography, agriculture geography, regional development planning, so all these parts also involve theoretical constructs and laws and paradigms and the research works, the quantification works. So second part also becomes very objectified and very theoretical sometimes, and second part also has to be substantiated with the graphs, the flow charts, the diagrams, the map, the presentation. And the first part of course is based on graph and diagrams and presentation and the maps and all those caricatures which we do in part 1. So geography has two parts, and both requires a lot of graphical work. Now the term geography itself means geo plus graphy, the study of earth in graphics. We don't use logy meaning science. So whatever scientific knowledge we gain from geology or from sociology or from, for that matter, any other arts or science subject, it has to be integrated and then presented diagrammatically. That becomes geography. I hope you understood. Meaning any answer writing in geography has to incorporate lots of diagrams, and I mean it. Until you have the high capability of drawing diagrams and presenting geographical facts through certain mathematical techniques and incorporating the theoretical parts, the laws which have been discovered by geographers, whether it is any human phenomena or physical phenomena. When I say physical phenomena, it means rainfall. So why it rains? There is a theory behind it, there is a law behind it, there is a natural law behind it. Now why human migrations are taking place? Even there is a law, even there exists a law. Human migrations are not taking place randomly, or there has to be some law, some inherent law which governs migration of people. Why Delhi as a mega city is attracting people from Uttar Pradesh and Bihar? Why Mumbai is attracting, the labor force from Uttar Pradesh and Odisha, etc. So there is a law of migration also. So not only in human geography, but also not only in physical geography, but also in human geography, we make it very scientific and we present our geography through graphics. So please catch this term. If you want to score very good marks, the first thing you have to learn is that you have to present your knowledge with the help of graphics and maps. If it goes well within your head, then I can put the second point. So please write whether you learned this or not. I give a very terse statement, a very short statement, that our geography has to be presented with the power of diagrams, with the power of maps, with the power of tables, flow charts, pie diagrams, wheel maps. There are innumerable, unquantifiable techniques which can be used in geography. Even a small caricature helps. So I hope that you learned this. Second thing, you want to score in geography? Use the language of geography. You cannot write the language of Shakespeare in geography. Geography has its own vocabulary. Geography is the mother of all sciences. It is the mother of all arts. I am serious about it. Immanuel Kant in the 17th century has stated, he has made this statement. He has written in his work Cosmos that geography is the mother of all knowledges, and all the knowledges, all the precarious fields of studies, they all will converge into a pool, and that pool, that reservoir of knowledge is geography. So when you learn geography, when you have decided to be a student of geography, you also need to understand that your head has to be a reservoir. So here is your reservoir, and you have to put all the different streams of knowledges into it, different rivers of knowledges pouring into, even the small drains, even nanotechnology, understanding of nanotechnology can help you becoming a good geographer. So a geographer is one who is jack of all, master of none. Who is a geographer? What is the best definition of a geographer? He is jack of all and master of none. मुझे ही देखो, I am jack of all. If you want to discuss me Sigmund Freud, psychology, we can do it. I can talk about his libido theory. If you want to discuss with me sociology, no issues. If you want to discuss politics, yes, I can do it. But I mean, you don't have to be a specialist in any branch of knowledge. You have to be a generalist, not journalist, generalist in all the fields of knowledges. So geographer is one who knows everything, but not their specifications. He is a true geographer. Now, who is other point in geography is that geographer is one who can link the subjects. I can link climatic phenomena with agriculture and cropping pattern, and so even the soil and the soil type and the drainage pattern or the vegetation type can be linked with the cropping pattern. So geographer is one who is drawing linkages. Meaning in answer writing, you have to keep three things in your mind. A, you have to draw a lot of map and diagrams, and geography has to be presented through diagrams. And second, geography has its own language. Geography has its own vocabulary. We don't call it surface of the earth. We don't call it the area. We call it landscape. And this is what will beautify your answer. So once we don't call it slope, we call it the precipitated slope. Precipitated slope. We call it gradient. We use slope also, but we call it gradient. So our vocabulary is distinct from the common usages and the common parlance. We don't use the language of newspaper. Newspapers can enrich us. I'm not denying this fact. They can enrich us. They always enrich our knowledge. But geographical books and geographical dictionaries will help you more, and my lectures will help you more when I dictate sometimes. So be careful that you are learning not only the language of geography, not only the concept of geography, but also the language of geography. So please, I said A, geography has to be presented through maps and diagrams, then you will score. B, the language has to be geographical. Vocabulary has to be drawn from the dictionary of geography. And third, a geographer is one who can integrate things, who can link things, and who can seek the functional and genetic linkages between different phenomena. I said functional and genetic connection between phenomena or linkages between phenomena. There is a plant, it has its functional and genetic linkages with the soil. And soil has its functional and genetic relationship with the climate and the rock system. And the rock system has its functional and genetic connection with maybe the geomorphic processes which have operated there. Maybe the volcanic processes or the exogenetic forces, the petrification of the rocks. So there is a strong linkages between the biotic and the abiotic, right? The crop has its link with soil. Soil has link with climate and the rock system. And the climate has its link with ocean, right? And ocean again can be linked with geology. There is look at this, those are linkages. This is what geography does. So as a geographer, you become a person who actually genetically comprehends the functionality of phenomena. This will be very tough for a newcomer having this language in the first class itself. But watch this video 1 or 2 or 3 times. You keep the right of watching this video at least 5 times. Don't share with your friends. So, let me simplify. You want to score in geography. So, the criteria number 1 is diagrams, map, flow chart, and the unique presentation of your answer through a small paragraphs, and then you have to present your diagram. Maybe if this is your answer sheet, so let me do little more elaboration on answer writing. So this is your answer sheet. So you started writing in this fashion, and suddenly you need a diagram to be quoted here, to be depicted here. So your diagram should come to me. It should come in a corner, and then you just keep writing. This is your diagram 1, and this is your writing part. Keep writing in a flow. And if you find something which has to be highlighted, you can highlight. You can highlight like this. You can highlight. Kahin pe different colors you can highlight. How to highlight, what all to be highlighted, I will take up some time, not today. Now, so you have to continue to write in this fashion, and then the second diagram can be placed here, or maybe a chart or whatever. But if any diagram like a world map, if it requires more horizontal length than the vertical length, you have to see that the diagram demands the vertical length. Vertical column में ज़्यादा presentation अच्छा लगेगा या horizontal column में लगेगा. Say there is an India map, so it needs vertical presentation, and say it is a world map, it needs horizontal presentation. So in that case, in case of horizontal presentation, we can extend the diagram. It's not forceful, it's not compulsory that you have to draw your diagram in a corner. No, I didn't say that. I just said based on the nature of the diagram, right? The geometry of the diagram. So if the geometry is suggesting more horizontal length, then this is your diagram. This is how you have to present your diagram. Keep writing in a flow. And then you find another diagram with maybe more vertical extension. So continue to write on your right, and then on your left you will have diagram number 3. So this is how it will look. This will look so graceful, isn't it? I hope all of you will agree to it. This is how your presentation should be. And this presentation to me is majestic, and it will attract the attention of the examiner. The old man will be so happy on your presentation, your diagram drawing skills. Now second, if you are drawing a diagram, must put in the inset. Say you have to draw the diagram of the Malabar coast and the Coromandel coast. So this is your, say this is your Malabar, or now there is no need for drawing the full diagram. So draw this half diagram, put it inside the inset, and show this is your Malabar and this is your Coromandel coast. Maybe you have to show the fishing area, so show the fishing area. And then in the diagram you must create another column, another inset, where you have to denote these symbols. This is called symbolization or indexing. So your diagram needs symbolization and indexing method. This is what is taught in cartography. So anyone who is a qualified geographer, who has gone through the academics of geography, he will always suggest you that indexing and symbolization. Now people complain that there is no time for it. There is no time for it. There is a time for it. So when you do this thing, arrow laga karke, then you write this is your Malabar. So maybe dot 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 dot, and in a box here you can write Malabar, and here you can write fishing. This is Malabar, and this is here you're writing fishing. It takes almost the same time. It's your mindset. It's your non-practiceness. Until you practice, you become a practitioner. Then you will find that having indexes and having symbolization is much easier, and it will attract the the attention of the faith of the professor in you, and you will look like a complete geographer. समझ गए? Okay? Because your fate is not in the hand of coaching tutors. मेरे हाथ में तुम्हारा भाग्य नहीं है. Your fate is in the hand of however scholar these tutors are, these coaching masters are. But we are not asked, we are not requested, we don't get a request later, sir, come and examine in the UPSC. The officials will invite the great professors from the great famed universities, and these professors must be 55, 65 in between. They are aging, they are graying with time, they are experienced people. And they need to have some real good hormones, flow of good hormones within themselves, so that they could get good marks. So the idea is to have a clean handwriting, to have a prolific, proficient English vocabulary, and then wonderful diagrams put inside the insets using 1 or 2 color pencils, color pen, not pencils, color pen. And this is the first stage, first step done. I hope you understood. मुझे जल्दी लिख के बताओ, you understood or not? Anushka, Nutan Sharma, Priya, please write whether the first stage in answer writing comprehensively understood by my students or not. Someone ringing the bell. Who he could be? In the meanwhile, you can write your response. कोई नहीं था, no one was there. Okay, anyway, second stage or second step, Dhyanchand, Meena, Raj, Prachi, great. Okay, so second step में आते हैं. First step is this presentation part, and on presentation part I must tell you that your handwriting should be legible, and handwriting should be of not microscopic size, not even very bold writing. So handwriting should be what? Legible, meaning the examiner could easily read it, and he doesn't need the specs and those widening of the eyes and doing all this. So when he has to do all this to read your words, read your writing, he will be irritated and good hormones will vanish. Life ही पूरा good hormones का है यार. Once I asked my father, what is life? My father said, hormones. He is a geology professor. And my age was very less, 16, 17 years. I was full of hormones. So I didn't realize that such a golden word has come, which I realized when I grew with time and experiences. Anyways, so this is your first step done. How to present your diagram, how it can be incorporated in an answer. Well. One more question which I get more often: what to highlight and what not to highlight. So say there is a statement. Darwin पे एक statement ले लेते हैं. Darwin was a geologist who professed his theory in 1838 after the Beagle expedition. there is nothing to highlight here because that is not the demand of the question. These are bare facts, and maybe if you ask me, they are unnecessary facts. Another line, his theory is subsidence theory. अरे भाई, subsidence theory already is given in the question paper. So there is nothing like highlighting the subsidence theory. No, there is no need. Then you are writing Darwin's theory has 3 stages. Stage 1 highlight. No, stage 1 तो already highlighted है. Now in stage 1, when you are writing that fringing reef are born, fringing reefs are produced, whatever, originated, ऐसा मान लो लिख रहे हो. Even that is understood that fringing reef has. Now what to be highlighted? Most of the students actually go on to highlight any fact or any good word which they can produce. है ना? जैसे कुछ लोग क्या करता है कि Himalayan has salubrious climate, so they will highlight salubrious just because they think that I have written wonderful word. That wonderful word, that is not the highlight. Coming to the first example, the previous example. So what to be highlighted? Now in Darwin, when you are writing that the Darwin's theory is based on the idea of subsidence of the island, where he suggested that subsidence of the island will be, the rate of subsidence of the island will be less than the rate of the vertical vertical rise of the vertical origin of the vertical growth of the coral reef. Meaning here you are drawing the theoretical part of the Darwin's theory. Theoretical part आ रहा है यहाँ पे. That theoretical part is that the rate of the subsidence of the island is less than the rate of the vertical growth of the coral reef. Now, this has to be highlighted according to me, because the whole theory of the origin of the barrier reef is based on this principle. And if this principle is written in your examination, then examiner will be smiling. Oh, he knows it. Because for that particular line he is looking for. And more often I have seen my students, my own students, others also, those who join test paper and all. So they all try to write Beagle Expedition, 1842. Before Darwin, there was a great scholar like Cassimo who also talked about subsidence theory. So all the nonsense thing which he has incorporated, which according to him are beautiful, are most crucial things, most highlighted things, मेरे अनुसार वो सब बकवास है. I hope you understood this example. Himalaya has salubrious climate, nothing to be highlighted here. अच्छा अंग्रेजी लिख के हाईलाइट करने की जरूरत नहीं है. But if you are writing Himalayan climate has monsoonal impact and the different altitudinal zones of Himalayas are having distinct climatic conditions, distinct climatic regime, ये highlight करोगे. This is the key to your writing. This is the highlight of your writing. This is like highlighting your intense inner knowledge, your real understanding of the Himalayan climate. ये highlight किया जाता है. I hope you understood how things to be highlighted. Key words नहीं, key points to be highlighted on which the whole answer is based. वो highlight किया जाता है. How to present diagrams, how it shall be highlighted, what should be your handwriting. So one part of answer writing is done. Right? Second, as I have told you, that must use the language of geography. Political geography, geomorphology, environmental geography, settlement geography. Look at the different dimensions. है ना? The settlement geography will have its own set of vocabulary. So settlement geography's language cannot be written in what? In physical geography, or when you are writing on population or tribe. वो लैंग्वेज और वोकैबुलरी अलग हो जाता है. तो आपको ध्यान देना है. You have to really consider these facts. Like, don't mix up these languages all where. Fine. Say you are writing a word landscape when you are describing say a phenomena in geomorphology. But when you are writing on contemporary issues and flood, say a topic is flood. Now in flood you can't write, you should not write the landscape and all. Flood mein to the vocabulary will change. There you have to talk about maybe the slope, the gradient, the terrain. Some different words can be used there. Because landscape has very specific meaning. Landscape meaning the surface plus the altitude, the different altitudes. That makes the landscape. Or the different landforms plus the three-dimensional landforms plus the surface. That makes the landscape. Landform plus earth surface. It makes landscape. A landscape refers to a particular homogeneous area where there is a uniformity in terms of landform. Like Himalaya is a landscape. Himalaya has its landscape. The Himalayan landscape is mountainous. So we call Himalaya is a landscape. So Himalayan landscape, this is how we use. So every word has very specific meaning, and until you understand the meaning, the true meaning of these words, you shall not try to write geography at your will, at your fancy. What students are doing these days, they will learn vocabulary, one or two words they will pick from geomorphology and climatology, they try to write it all where. That's not done. So please take care of that. Okay, then in answer writing, interlinkages of things. I've given you some example on the cropping pattern, how to draw interlinkages, and I'm giving you one more example. And please listen very carefully. Say there is a sociologist. This is my very oft repeated example. So there is a sociologist who is writing on say tribe, or an anthropologist who is writing on tribe. So we have three people. Here is a geographer, then there is a sociologist, then there is an anthropologist, and all this, interestingly, all these subjects will have a common topic called tribe. The topic is tribe, and the tribe to be discussed by three distinct scholars of different fields. अब देखो क्या होगा. सोशियोलॉजिस्ट ट्राइब का लाइफ स्टाइल, उसका बैकवर्डनेस, पोवर्टी, उसका अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट सिचुएशन, उसका पैंग्स ऑफ पेन्यूरी, उसका सोशल कंडीशन, उसका उसका रिलीजन, उसका ठाकुर वर्शिप, उसका नेचुरलिस्टिक होना, उसका एनिमिस्टिक होना. ही विल गो इन ऑल दिस डायमेंशंस. नहीं, एंड सो ही इज ए सोशियोलॉजिस्ट. इसमें हिज वर्शिप, ही विल मेक ए स्टडी ऑफ हिज वर्शिप, हिज प्रैक्टिसेस, maybe his economy also. So maybe his rituals, maybe his social conditions, maybe their political organizations, maybe their institutional factors, maybe their customs, lifestyle, maybe their lifestyle, maybe their faith, belief, everything about tribe. He is a sociologist, and he will construct theories about it. Now, anthropologist, he will straightway go into the race. Proto-Australoid का है, Mongoloid race का है. He will study the race. Then he will study the biological features. Look, he has become different. Now some sociologists will also try to incorporate some facts of race, etc. They try to do it, but their focal area will be all these key points. Now an anthropologist, he will talk about the race, the biological what? Biological features, and maybe his social condition. He will also talk about social condition. He will also talk about his backwardness and economy. But his focal area will be race and this biological evolution. Biological features, biological evolution. Come to a geographer. He will talk about the ecology, the habitat, the geographical conditioning, the environmental hazards, and then he will talk about his race. Then he will also talk about all these, his customs, his demography, his political, institutional, social, all kind of variables which has to be studied for the tribes. So look at a geographer. A geographer is one who will take some facts from anthropology, take something from sociology, take something from economics, and then put them under environmental condition, test them under environmental condition, and he is a geographer. This is how we geographers vary from the other disciplines. Now there is a tendency among teachers and students as well that whatever they know about the physical world, they consider it geography, and if anything to be associated with the social phenomena or the economic phenomena or the political phenomena or the institutional phenomena, they simply discard it as non-geography. Then you are doing injustice to the subject itself. So please remember that geographer is one who is partly an anthropologist, partly a sociologist, and partly an environmentalist. So environmentalism plus this social analysis, socio-analysis, plus this anthropological analysis. That is what makes a geographer a true geographer. Getting or not? So your writing must reflect in every part of geography that you have comprehensive knowledge of the environmental surrounding, the nature, the habitat, whether you are writing economic geography also, whether you are writing human geography, writing on population, writing on regional development aspects. Say you are writing on regional development aspects and you are talking about watershed management. Now here is an economist or a student of economy. So he will talk about the number of watersheds which are in India. Then he will talk about the allocations, the funding, the channels, the bureaucracy, how it will be executed, the plan, the policies, how it will reach to the people. We geographers will talk about what is a watershed and how it is different from the command area, and what is watershed management, what are the components of watershed management. So our approach will be as an environmentalist also, as a scientist also. So we are scientists, we are environmentalists, we are economists also. Then we will talk about not necessarily the allocation part, but we have to talk about that how the plan will be implemented and how economically it will benefit the people and how it will lead to the welfare of the people. So that is what will make you, again I am saying, a good geographer, and this is how you will fetch marks. Any question coming on watershed, you must draw the watershed and show the component of watershed. Say there is a question on city planning or a smart city, there is a question. Now on a smart city, the planners have all those 7 criteria for a smart city. Say 7 criteria including transportation, communication, and the sewage and the whatnot, and and the road planning and क्या था वो सब यार, द पॉल्यूशन कंट्रोल. तो ये सब था सिटी प्लानिंग, स्मार्ट सिटी के अंतर्गत. लेकिन एज ए ज्योग्राफर, व्हेन यू नो दैट ऑल दिस प्लानिंग और द स्मार्ट सिटी प्लानिंग हैज एग्जिस्टेड इन आवर प्रीवियस थ्योरीज, लाइक टेक एग्जांपल ऑफ Chandigarh. Don't you think that Chandigarh is in a smart city? Yes, it is. It has grid iron pattern. Now, who gave this idea of grid iron pattern? So, whenever the question has been asked on a smart city in geography paper 2, don't write from the government papers alone. There you have to bring in the theoretical parts, the gridiron pattern. By number of geographers have given this idea, not one to be named, number of geographers. And there are many modifications of the gridiron pattern, like the circular pattern, the radial pattern, the sectoral, circle sectoral pattern. There are all different variations of the gridiron pattern. So when we have all these models learned well, then we can start writing on smart city asked in geography paper 2. Don't write it like a GS, like general studies. There you start with our old models and traditional approach, then gradually shift to the smart cities of Modi's fancies, Modi's ideas. Pradhan Mantri. Okay, so I think you have learned, I've given you some crucial hint about how to approach answer writing, because I had promised you that after oceanography, we will talk about the answer writing, and what matters in civil services is what you write. How much you know is not so significant. Your knowledge is actually important. I didn't say that. Your knowledge is not important. ऐसा तो नहीं मैंने कहा. Your knowledge is important, but the most important part is not knowledge, it is presentation. And then time management comes for everything. Value your time. And मैं जब क्रिकेट खेलता था, तो I will never practice. Or even though I was a good batsman, good player, I could never score much in some of the very crucial matches when I played for Delhi University Indo College. I played 2 matches. I couldn't deliver much just because I will not practice, and I heavily rely on my talent and my aggression. So many of you try to rely on your last minute powerful effort, even if you are very powerful, very talented, but you have not practiced enough. In the last minute, last second में cutthroat competitions में you are likely to fail, because there is a whisper and you fail, there is a fraction and you fail. Minutest of your fallacies, minutest of your non-alertness will lead to your failure. इसलिए देख लो कि टाइम मैनेजमेंट भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, प्रैक्टिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, एंड देन अंडरस्टैंडिंग द ट्रू नेचर ऑफ ज्योग्राफी इज ऑल्सो इंपॉर्टेंट. Then your presentation is very important, your language is very important. Now some people are born with it. I have seen many students in my class who straight away they come and the day first they start writing, and I understand, oh, he or she has the potential. But 90% of them have no potential, because they come from different background, and their background is really poor in terms of, not in terms of geography, in terms of English language as well, in terms of the flow, the fluency, in terms of the comprehension part. Their comprehension is not also good. If they will read Savinder Singh or a stroller, but they can't understand what Rupa Made Simple is trying to say, trying to convey. रूपा मेड सिंपल ही नहीं पढ़ पाते हैं. एक सिंपल सा क्लास 12 टेक्स्ट बुक है. They can understand Savinder Singh, so they find their life easy. So they start reading Savinder Singh and NCRTs. Some people cannot understand even NCRTs as well. So that is where the challenge lies. Okay.